Hi guys, welcome to my channel. This is Sevilla I Love, and here we are getting back to living and loving life again after a major life-altering loss, such as being widowed. Now, a lot of you out there can't stand up and say, I had a perfect marriage, and when you listen to other people talk about their loved one, and how great their marriage was, and how wonderful he was, and how perfect she was, and on and on and on, it can sometimes break your heart a little bit more than it's already broken, because your marriage, for a lack of a better word, kind of sucked. And now you've been widowed. And here you are. So tonight we're going to talk about that. I want to be really honest. One thing that's very important to me on this channel is that we talk about the things other people aren't talking about, that we get into the nitty-gritty of what it means to really grieve and get past the clinical surface, 4 stages of grief, 3 stages, 10 stages, whoever's telling the stages this week, and really get into what it's like to be a human being in this situation of loss. Now, you may be that person that had a crappy relationship. And I'm just using plain language because let's just be honest. It's what it was for some people. I've had tons of clients come to me and say, I'm afraid to tell anyone, but I don't feel that bad that my spouse died. A lot of people tell me that. And they're afraid to share it with anyone else, and they feel very alone in this emotion. So we're going to talk about some of the top 8 things that you might be feeling right now if you had a less than perfect marriage. Now, it didn't have to be ridiculously bad. It might have just been kind of bad. But wherever you are on that spectrum, tonight I'm talking to you. Okay, and then we're going to talk about the 7 things that you can do right now to help yourself in this situation. So first, let's get the understanding on the table. You may have been abused. You may have been neglected. You may have been cheated on more than once. I've had men come and tell me I had a wife. We were together for 20 years. And she cheated on me multiple times, and I always stayed with her for the kids, but I was never really happy. I never trusted her. I always felt bad. I always felt like I couldn't please her enough, or be man enough, or do whatever it was that she always felt like a disappointment to her, but yet I stayed. Or women that say, he never made me feel loved. He maybe cheated on her. She may have been physically abused or emotionally abused. He may have been emotionally abused as well. And this doesn't mean that somebody leaves the relationship and then to top it off. And a lot of those relationships that are less than perfect, one of the person gets sick and then they end up caring for them a lot towards the end of their life. And this can be really difficult because now you're taking care of somebody who you never really felt very loved by to begin with. And then they die, and now you're left holding the bag of this life that's left for you. You may have been left in debt with medical bills, and or maybe you didn't have life insurance. Everything's been neglected over time because you're caring for a sick family member, or they died suddenly and you weren't prepared for the death, financially speaking. You may be dealing with friends or particularly family members that are coming in like wolves, and maybe they knew you didn't have a great relationship, and so now they're shutting you out, marginalizing you, and you're still trying to manage things as the surviving spouse. Or you may have even been divorced, and just after you got divorced, the person died. So are you even a widow? Yeah, you are. You are. Now you're a divorcee and a widow. Okay. So I just want to acknowledge all of these difficult scenarios that are very real for a lot of people. Now, if you had a beautiful, happy, fabulous marriage, then this video isn't for you, and I've got other ones that are just perfect for you, so you can tune into those. But like I said, getting real about these issues is very important for people to be able to heal. And to know that, oh, I've got hair. There's a lot of hair going on over here. You ever have that problem? And it is really difficult to feel alone in this. So some of you also may be feeling these types of emotions. You may be feeling guilty. Guilty that you're kind of glad they're gone. Guilty that you don't feel guilty. That you don't feel guilty. So you feel guilty about not feeling guilty. Maybe feel guilty about this glad feeling, this feeling, oh gosh, now I've got another chance at life. Got a chance to do something different, to find, a new love, or to start over, or whatever it is. But then again, you may be feeling regret. And the regret may come from recognizing, this is something that death does, recognizing this hindsight 2020 thing. So maybe the relationship was very difficult, but now, because the person's not here to argue anymore, they're not around to be able to actively blame for all of your own problems and your own stuff, that you're starting to see the piece you played in the problems that existed. Maybe you didn't respect him enough. Maybe you didn't appreciate him enough for the things he did do. And so he was cranky and angry when he came home at the end of the day, because all he got was complained at when he got home. And you see that piece that you played in that. Or maybe she cheated on you, but when you came home at the end of the day, there were no hugs and no kisses because you were worn out from the day. And she got tired of taking care of the kids all alone. And the sex tended to dwindle over time. And you grew apart, and she was lonely, and you spent all your time at work. Sound familiar to anyone? Now, this isn't a blame. These are human experiences. And all I'm doing is just spelling out some scenarios of things that my clients have shared with me over the years that they've lived through. And the things that they've sat in front of me and said, Sevilla, I recognize the piece I played, and I can't correct it now. I can't change it. I can't apologize. I can't say I'm sorry enough for the part I played in the downfall of our marriage. And now they're gone, and I can't ever apologize. Well, it's not true that you can't apologize, because you can. See, here on this channel, I speak from a spiritual perspective, and that is that we are all spiritual beings having a human experience. And that means this is a round trip ticket, folks. This is Earth School, and eventually we're going home. So there is no ultimate separation between us and our loved ones, or whether they were great loved ones or not. No, I've seen widows do tap dances, men and women. Oh my God, I'm so glad they're gone. And they have no shame of telling people that, like I'm tap dancing on his grave. But those people are few and far between. Most people are sitting in the silence of this knowledge, not wanting to be a disrespectful widower. We don't want to speak poorly of the dead, right? Of course not. Because this person did bring some good things to your life. They did bring some value. You may have created children with them. You built a home with them. You have many life experiences with them. There's so much to value and honor, even in a bad marriage. And so this is what can lead to those complicated feelings, because before they died, you may have been like, I am so can't wait for this to be over, or if they ever die, I'll be happy. And then they die, and now you're like actually not happy about it. Or you kind of are, and you feel bad. So you're waffling, you're kind of ambivalent about a lot of these feelings. Just know, and hear me, you're not crazy, you're not alone, and you're not actually in the minority either. Death can bring this rose-colored glasses, and I'm sure you know this. It brings rose-colored glasses about the person that's no longer here, because our brains tend to do that. And for women, those of you that have had a child, how you forget the birth process and how agonizing that was, and how there's never been anything more painful. But 6 months later, you're ready to have another baby. I mean, okay, our brains are hardwired for this. This is a protection for us. And it also helps us to honor the dead. So there's some things you can do about that. Now, if you feel also that you may have the sense of regret that you wasted years and years of your life, Okay, this is the last one in this list here. Is that, and because then I'm going to talk about the top 8 things that you could do right now about these things. So if you feel like you have wasted all of these years and that you wish you would have left earlier or divorced sooner, or that you could have had more life and then you just ended up with them dying in the end, and or having all of these other heartaches along the way, only to be left holding the bag, as I said, and be in the mess that you're in right now, just know that those feelings of regret don't have to sit with you forever, because here's the thing. This is a new open door for you. There is another opportunity now to start your life over, but how do you do that? Because what you most need to do, the number one thing to start yourself off on this healing journey, is to start to recognize very clearly what you want and what you don't want. Now, this matters for relationships of the heart and for your life. If you've been in a bad relationship, a bad marriage, or a difficult marriage, or less than perfect marriage, then there's so many things about yourself that you had to sacrifice in order to survive within that marriage. Am I right? I'm right. And so this means now this new opportunity brings you to this precipice of being able to say, I have wants, I have needs, and I might actually have an opportunity to fulfill some of them now. Now, there's going to be limitations for some. Not people have the financial resources for everything that they would love to do and feel, but this isn't necessarily, although this can be barriers, it's not necessarily about money or any of that. This is about opportunity to start to live and grow in a more authentic way. And it starts with recognizing, what do I feel and what do I want? Now, when you're moving into this space of healing after this type of loss, you can be very vulnerable. Coming out of a difficult marriage leaves you with a lot of wants and a lot of empty holes and a bucket that needs filling very badly. And so it's really easy to turn to somebody else and to say, please fill my bucket because it's empty. I've given it all to this other person, to this marriage, and I need, fulfill me. And then guess who steps in? The predators. The predators. They're like wolves. They can smell the injured animal in the herd, and they're going right for you. Yes, they will. And if you're on online dating or something like that, those predators, they're all over the place, and they can smell that wounded animal that you are, that is your heart right now. And so you are in a delicate place, male or female. There's a lot of women be happy to come in and take all your money and take over your life and love you and leave you, and same thing for the women. Okay, so how do you protect yourself against this when you just have this huge empty bucket, this huge broken heart, these complicated, difficult feelings, complicated grief? That's a diagnostic term, but we're not using it as a diagnostic term tonight. We're using it as a metaphorical term for this shit's hard, because it's hard. So what you want to do, number 3, is to spend time with a really good, therapist. Yes, okay, a grief specialist is what I recommend when you can find one. Somebody with lived experience, preferably, and there's a lot of them out there, because having that place to go to be able to talk about these feelings that you can't share with anyone else because you feel ashamed or afraid that people won't understand, or they'll see you as being disrespectful or greedy or selfish or any of these other things. And here's the thing, brothers and sisters, there is no one right way to grieve, and people will say that often, but I'm speaking from true experience that there is no right way to grieve. And these things are very complicated. So having a really good therapist, there's some good life coaches out there also that can help you through these feelings. And what do you want to do when you get with that therapist? So I can just lay on the couch and talk about my problems and be crazy? No, that's not how it works. The purpose of it is to get to the bottom of you, to see what you did. What was your piece? Because the only thing we can change in this life, ultimately, the only thing you have any control over is yourself. So a good therapist can help you to dig deep enough and get understanding and get into the action of being able to make choices in a new and different way through a transformed perspective and understanding of yourself. Okay. Now, I work with clients privately. I see, for coaching and guidance sessions, and I also see people as therapists. And so it's different for every person what you need, but there's lots of good people out there. So don't hesitate to do that, okay? Because coming from a bad relationship makes you a really weak target, and you don't want to be that. Now, this isn't just about romance, folks, because you can be in a vulnerable state to people that you know, friends, family, in-laws, people that would be more than happy to come in and take advantage of you in your weakened state. Okay? And it's sometimes very hard to stay strong when you feel so broken in so many ways, when you have so many complicated feelings and you don't know what to do with them or where to put them or how to heal or how to grieve this person that you loved and hated and loved. And now you're starting to see some good things. Could I have done it differently? Regrets. Oh my gosh. It's so much to handle. And sometimes this is beyond just what friends can do for us. Okay? Because we don't want to we don't want to use other human beings as a band-aid. And when I say other human beings, I'm talking about other relationships, romantic relationships that we may get into that bandage these feelings so we're not dealing with them. I'm not saying that you can't be in another relationship, but what I'm saying is to do it with caution, okay? To do it with caution and wisdom, because it's the wisdom of the 20/20, of the hindsight, of not just sitting with yourself, because we can sit there and tell ourselves all day long, oh, I know what I did wrong, and I can, I'm going to correct that, and I'm going to do it differently, or I know what kind of man I want, or I'm definitely going for a different kind of woman this time. And guess what? You end up back in the same situation. Because if we don't change ourselves, we end up back in the same bed, in the same sheets, with the different pillow, meaning person. So don't do that to yourself. Take this opportunity that is yours now, that have this new start ahead of you, and be able to really find your healing so you can make the change and have a life that is fulfilling and happy and joyful and full of the love that you should have, that you want, that you need, that you deserve. And all of this starts with my number one most important thing you need to do to make all of this work. Okay? You need to learn to love yourself. Now, don't hang up. Don't walk out yet. Love yourself. And let me tell you what that means before you throw up your hands and go, oh, that again. Self-love, self-care, blah, blah, blah. Heard that so many times. Well, you might have, but take this twist on it. Loving yourself isn't about putting yourself above everybody else. They say, put yourself first. Yes, you want to put yourself first, but there's certain, you have to be wise about that as well, because you may have children, you have other things you have to manage. It's about finding a balance of being able to put yourself first. And what this looks like is if you had a very, very good friend and you cherished and loved them and you wanted to take good care of them and make them happy and treat them to things and surprises and birthdays, and you're kind and loving, and this is all the things you want to do for yourself. You treat yourself the way you would treat someone that you really love. And if you don't feel like you're really good at loving someone else, And if you recognize maybe that's why your relationship wasn't so great and you feel like you're to blame, then this is another good thing a great therapist can do with you, is to help you learn all of your good strengths and your good qualities and to be able to build on them so you can learn to love better the next time, if that's the case for you. Or to be able to avoid the relationship where you weren't loved well. Or to be able to learn how to build that. Or meet with someone who can resonate with you at a higher level. As you heal and grow, we raise our vibrational energy. We are energetic beings, folks. We are energetic beings. And so kind of like a radio station, if we're putting out, a certain type of frequency, certain stations are going to pick up that frequency, right? If we put out a high level frequency, maybe it's going to go further and have a higher quality sound. Maybe we're going to get higher quality reception. Now, this is just a metaphor. For us, this is a real thing. Actually, our energy is measurable, but you can research that on your own. But believe it or not, the truth is, as you learn to grow and to become a better and better person and understand yourself more in depth and learn a new set of skills in moving forward, and you understand that you're valuable, and that you know how to love yourself, because when you have something, then you can give it away. My father always told me that I cannot give you what I do not own. So make sure you cultivate it for yourself first. And it starts with your healing and a good support system. Now, there's another resource I want to give you, and I'm going to put it in the description below. It is Soaring Spirits International. They're a fantastic organization that gives support to widows and widowers, whether you're new, whether you're far out. They have 24/7, support chat lines where people can talk to each other, other widowers, and it's only for widows. You actually have to prove yourself to be there. And it is a fantastic support, and they have all kinds of resources for new widows. What do you do? How do you manage when you first lose a spouse? And just an infinite amount of support. So I really recommend that. I'll have the link below for that. And in the meantime, also know that I see private clients as well. And so if you want to talk to me and book a session with me, you can do that too. And you can find a link for that, how to contact me in the description below. So as you are moving through this space and time, and dealing with all of these complicated feelings and remembering that you're not alone and you're working towards your healing and protecting yourself from the predators out there, the wolves, they're out there. Know that you are more valuable. You're more lovable. You're more precious than you can possibly imagine. Take good care of yourself. See you next time.